Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Good shot. Okay, he's dead. Let's go get him. That's another one for the fire.
You know what I want to get out of this podcast?
What do you want to get out of this podcast?
I want one sweet moment in my life. You know what that moment is?
What?
I want that moment to be. Remember the final episode of The Office, where they're all about to start like that, like the fan questions and whatnot, and there's
Like
like
a
no one
Q&A?
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's like no one there. So Andy Bernard goes out. He's like, "Oh, let me go see if I can find someone to talk to him. See if we can just cancel it because like there's like no one." He walks out, and then all these fans, they go, "Hey, it's Andy. Do?" And they just like repetitively like just start screaming do.
Yeah, I've seen the
My
episode.
moment that I want to have a Q&A, and I'm like, what's going on here? I walk outside, whole crowd, and they're like, he's gonna get beat. He's gonna get beat. He's gonna get beat. And I'm like, oh, Mom, I made it.
Wow, you just wasted like a minute and a half, Bug. I appreciate that.
That's what I want to get out of this. I want people to chant that I am going to get beat.
I want something similar to that, but I just want that mob of people actually just to beat you.
Beggars can't be choosers.
All right, well, we're back. End of the year, end of the goddamn decade show happening right now, coming at you. Boog and I did our research. We went back and looked. 10 years is a long time, man. There's a lot has changed in the horror genre in 10 years. I'll tell you that much. Some of these movies I totally even forgot about, or didn't even realize that they came out that long ago. But we got a lot here for you. This is gonna be a good one.
A lot of weird ones.
That's true. A lot of the decade started out really like horror was struggling a little bit in the early 2010s, but at the end it is like a box office champion, man. We've seen some like horror is like elevated to the next level. Like there's even been situations where like it's always been panned at like which award shows mean nothing. They're just a bunch of rich people giving other rich people like pats on the back, stupid shit. But like certain movies like Get Out and stuff, like a lot of stuff's finally getting recognition, and we're in a great time for horror movies now. So we definitely ended the decade horror wise in a lot better shape than we started it.
I'd say we started in decent shape though, because like 2009 we had Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, but it's like, so 2009 was like a real solid year for me because I had graduated high school, started college. The Penguins had won the Stanley Cup. The Steelers had won the Super Bowl. What more could you ask for? But like you might remember it a little bit differently. Like I was 18. I was coherent at the time. Like you were like what, like 5? I don't know. How old are you, Bug? How old were you in 2009 going into 2010?
I was 12.
12. All right. So at that point,
My
like
mom
me and your
still
brother.
wiped my ass.
I mean, you're getting a little bit better at that, right?
I still don't know what hand to use, so I use both at the same time.
At the same time?
It works.
That's why you're always clogging the fucking toilet, dude. Just using like gobs and gobs of toilet paper.
One roll every swipe.
Oh god. But like that was like the real heyday of starting to see horror movies in the theaters for me. Like me and your brother, like yeah, like when we were like in middle school, we'd buy a ticket for something and sneak into a horror movie. But it's like that's the point when we could actually go to like rated R movies and like not have to sneak in or have like someone go with us. Like so that was like our big. So I was going a lot, and there was a lot of movies around then that would let you down, and a lot of the bigger studios didn't really know how to treat horror franchises, and it was, there might have been some gems that came out of the early 2010s, but for the most part there was a lot of shit they were putting out compared to, like, not saying like everything's a winner now, but the quality, the quantity of the quality of good films going out near the end of the decade was a lot higher than it was in the beginning. So I would definitely say we're in a better place now. But that was just my perspective, because you were in like a different situation than I was at the turn of this decade.
Yeah, I was
Like
still a baby.
I had became an adult. You were.
I was a baby.
Yeah. So, but hey, to each, that's from each. That's, we offer unique perspectives, but I am definitely pumped to see where it goes from here. 2020 and beyond is looking pretty exciting.
I'll be in my 30s.
Yes, me too.
That
I mean, this
scares me.
is literally, I have,
You're down
what's,
to the wire.
yeah, like nine more months until I'm 30. I'm pretty much dead.
Yeah.
Stick a fork in me. Stick a fork in me. I'm pasta. But let's so what we're gonna do here, we'll talk a little bit about, we'll go year by year, look at the box office numbers, see what was some of the big hits, some of the sleepers. We'll talk about our biggest disappointments, because there are some out there, and I definitely want to talk about them. And then we'll wrap it up with what we're looking forward to coming up this year and beyond. So if you want to hop into it here, we'll take a look. We'll hop in the DeLorean and go back to the ripe old year of 2010.
Don't do that. Don't put some Back to the Future in this.
You love Back to the Future.
I know, and we haven't earned the right to use Back to
I
the
did
Future
it.
content.
I did that for you, Boog. All right, I'm
Well,
trying to be.
guess
Hey,
what?
it's
Get out of your DeLorean.
we're
Get back in the Beetle. We're going back in time.
Listen, we're recording this on the very first day of 2020. My New Year's resolution is to try to be nicer to you, and you're making it very hard.
Dude, why don't we make a time machine out of a Volkswagen Beetle? That's why, like, they've had those cars for like 60, 70 years.
Dude, did you just see? I just literally, I'm not even fucking with you. About an hour ago, I was watching the, what is it, the Sugar Bowl or whatever was on before it, the Rose Bowl. And they had a commercial on. They're retiring the Volkswagen Beetle.
No, they're not.
Yeah, that's crazy that you even brought that up. Like, they're literally retiring that car.
You know, I've always wanted to. I just wanted to sit in one. I don't know.
I've sat in them. They're not very cool.
There's a lot of cars that I don't fit in. For example, your old Nissan.
My old Nissan was small. That's why I got a bigger car. Actually, I got the bigger car because it was cooler. Well, I did like the Nissan though.
I don't fit in it.
You fit in the Challenger though.
Yeah, I mean, it's tight. My head still hits.
Get out of the car.
I can't even get.
Are you ready? You fucking ready, bud? Come on. Let's have a good year. Hey, let's start this year off right. That's like in sports. Your coach is clapping like, "Come on, let's go. Let's get a hit. Let's be a hitter here, bug."
All right, let's choke up on the bat and let's see what we can swing at here.
Dude, funny story, a little off track, but so I used to be on baseball teams with your brother, like when we were in like little league age, right?
Yeah, the most unathletic white boy you've ever seen.
That's what I'm getting at. He was so bad at swinging. We used to have one coach would tell him, "Don't swing. If the pitch is anywhere close, just let it hit you. Don't move. Let it hit you, just so you can get on the base." And there was one season your brother got hit like at least 2 times a game. Dude, I always remember him just getting hit and like being on first base crying. And the coach is like, "That a boy, Aaron. That a boy."
Dude, it was manager pitch too.
No. Nah,
he
that
was like
after
8 years old. My dad was pitching. My dad's like, "Lean in this time, Aaron. I'll hit you."
Big Ern's, they're like Ernie, there's no like hit batter walk bases and manager pitch. He's like, "No, I'm teaching my kid. I'm teaching him take a hit." No, but in kid pitch, we literally did have a coach that would tell Aaron to get hit, and he didn't know any better, and he would get hit, and he'd be crying on first base, and they'd be like, "Good job, Aaron."
Yeah, that sounds like Aaron. That's why I put on weight. Someone told him put on some weight.
It
You
won't
won't
hurt it.
feel it as
It won't
much.
hurt as much.
Hey, I lied.
Is that an Arnold Schwarzenegger reference?
Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yes, it
Commando.
was.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into this. So the box office performance of 2010. So the number one grossing horror movie in 2010 was Paranormal Activity 2. So this was like the height of Paranormal Activity as a franchise. Like it was steaming in the early 2010s. Like yeah, the first one came out in '09. And I remember there was a ton of buzz about that because it had premiered at some movie festival, and there was these trailers online. Everyone's like, this is like the scariest movie, and then all the trailers. I remember a whole group of us, my freshman year of college, we went to the, like, because it was showing limited first, and we went to the one theater, like it was like 30-40 minutes away to see it. And I just remember people being freaked out, and I was like, the first one wasn't bad. It did have some creepy parts, but it was like a little bit like, it was all about sound design, and I'll give them credit for what it was. But that movie made a shit ton of money on like no budget at all, and that's something that studios love. So they just started ripping the sequels out. The second one, I wasn't a real big fan of the second one though. Like the first one was decent. Second one was like, but I think the best one in my opinion is the third one.
Paranormal Activity?
Yeah. The third one's like when they're the little kids, and it turns there's like the witches at the end. Spoiler alert, there's like witches or some shit.
It's been a while since I've seen it. I don't remember that.
The third one?
Yeah.
So the first one is like the dude and the chick. The second one is like her family that's like across the street.
Yeah.
And then the third one is the two sisters when they were kids. And you find out some like the backstory. They had that invisible friend.
Oh, that's right.
I just remember that there was one cool scene in it, like a whole gimmick where it had the dad with the camera installed the camera on a rotating, like he had installed the fan portion, but it's like the rotating fans, you know, and he put the camera on it so it would like rotate, and there was like a cool scene where there was like something and it rotated back and it wasn't there. There's some cool gimmicks in that, and then they really started going downhill after the third one. But this was early 2000s, peak that, so it did dominate the box office. So whatever small budget the second one had there, it made $84 million, which is really good. The number 2 horror movie that year was A Nightmare on Elm Street, and I'll get into that a little bit more when we talk about disappointments, but I was surprised that movie made $63 million because, spoiler alert, not good. Also, the number 3 movie made my disappointments. Like 2010 was a disappointing year for horror movies. Like if you go down this list here, like of the top 10, yeah, Saw 3D was alright, but I was like, Resident Evil Afterlife was trash. Last Exorcism sucked. You know what? A little surprising one, The Crazies, which is a remake of the George Romero original. I actually really enjoyed that movie. I thought it was really well done.
Don't know if I've ever seen it.
It's, see, you might have. I feel like we might have seen it together one time, but it was they're kind of like zombies, but they're not. There was like this chemical that got dumped on this small like Midwestern town, and the whole town's going crazy and they get quarantined. It's about like a guy and his family trying to get out of the town. And the I can't remember the main actor's name, but he's like, you would know him if you saw his face. He was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Brad Pitt.
Yeah, no, it wasn't Brad Pitt. He was in scenes with them, like when they were on that Western movie set. He was like the other guy that was like opposite of Leonardo DiCaprio. I could look it up, but it's whatever. He played he played it well, but it was well done. And look, no, it was not Bruce Lee. But
Bruce Lee was in that movie.
That wasn't Bruce Lee's been dead though. Someone was playing Bruce Lee.
Oh, Timothy Oliphant.
Yeah, he was actually in he was in The Office. They hired him as that salesman, but he was also in Scream too. Yeah, spoiler alert: he was the killer in the second
Yeah.
one.
3 dates with Pam, never called her back.
Man, you've managed to reference The Office twice, but good job. Hey,
Hey, I
great,
could do a lot more than twice. If you want to hear
great
more
job.
than
All right, let me
you-
finish talking about the crazies though. But
Yeah, but The Office,
there was
man.
one scene, like you would remember the opening scene because it was a little bit startling. Like they're at a baseball game, and this one random like out of his mind dude is like stumbling on the field with a shotgun. Like in pretty much the whole town, small towns at this like little league baseball game, and people are freaking out, and the cops have to shoot and kill this guy right in front of the whole town. So it's like holy shit.
Damn.
Yeah,
No,
so that's how you start. It's honestly, if you get a chance, make yourself. You got your pen, paper. Make yourself watch the crazies. You won't be disappointed.
The Crazies.
Let's see some other notables about 2010. Looking here, Human Centipede. That movie was strange, for sure. My Soul to Take. I think that was a Wes Craven trying to get back into horror there, and it just wasn't good. And another disappointment that year, George A. Romero's Survival of the Dead. Actually, me, your brother, Dan, and Tyler went down to the one big theater near the city at the Waterworks, I think it was. What's that big one called? It's
It's a Cinemark. That's all I know.
nah, not a Cinemark.
Isn't it? I thought it was.
It's a Lowe's Waterfront.
Oh, ew.
And we went to see that down there because it was a limited release and like things like that. And we had also went and saw when they had done when he released his last one, the Diary of the Dead, the first person camera one. And Survival of the Dead was easily George Romero's worst film. Like it was not good, which is disappointing.
Nice.
Let's see some other notables. Hatchet too. I kind of like the Hatchet franchise. Super gory. You got Kane Hodder, who's played Jason in like 3 or 4 films, I think it was. He plays the main killer there, Victor Crawley. So definitely a cool series if you just want to throw on some mindless stuff going on there. All right, on to 2011. Weird to say 2011. It's gonna be weird to say like 2020, 2021. It finally does really feel like the future, except for everything's like shit.
I wouldn't say everything's shit.
It's
I'd
not.
say organizations are shit.
Yeah, if it's even crazy to think like how far technology has come. Even like look at your phone right now, from 2010 to like 2020. Weird, man.
I know, and I remember seeing the Nokia in like Giant Eagle. I remember going into Giant Eagle and buying Nintendo 64 cartridges. It really ages me, and that was like 1 year.
You were 1 year old when that came out. Me and your brother were playing. You were just like pooping your pants. I mean, that's no different than when me and your brother play video games now. You're just still pooping your pants, but it wasn't like disgraceful. Yeah, it wasn't disgraceful when you were doing it back then.
I'm more prepared. There's a bucket. There's diapers. There's wipes. There's patters.
All right. 2011. So starting off the year here, another domination by Paranormal Activity, the third one, which I was saying before, that's probably my favorite of the series. I thought that one was really well. It had some good scares in there. Big one for you, the number 2 one that year, Insidious. So that's when the Insidious franchise starts, 2011, and what they get? They got four Insidiouses out in this decade.
Yeah, they got 4 of them.
We got a little after that. I got a little Final Destination 5, which is I don't know. They all blend together, but I enjoy the Final Destinations because they're just so ridiculous.
The other day, like I just watched it with you.
Was that 3? That was 3 with the roller coaster.
Yeah.
We'll watch 3 and 4 because 3 was the roller coaster, then 4 was the NASCAR one.
Yes. Yeah.
Which their movies are so ridiculous, but they're entertaining. Scream 4, which got a lot of. It came out at an awkward time, but if you look back on it, honestly, it had a pretty good message to it. I enjoyed Scream 4 as well. It was definitely better than 3. Scream 3 was real bad, but if I had to rank them, I'd probably go 1, 2, 4, then 3. Like really, realistically, the only really good Scream's the first one. That's a classic, and it's really the only one. But mean,
2 wasn't that bad.
no, it wasn't. That's what I'm saying though. Like, it's like 1 way up top by itself, and then lesser like 2, 4, and then 3 down in the dumpster.
Yeah.
Then you had The Right, Priest. So there was a lot of early on in the decade, a lot of like exorcism style, like priest, like
Which is
possession
beautiful.
movies and stuff. But yeah, a lot of them were poorly done though. But they
I
did
know,
have
but that's the style of horror movies that I like.
you're big
Paranormal.
on like the paranormal, like possession type. Okay.
Yes. Cuz in my opinion, like I believe in ghosts first of all. In my opinion, that's something like we can't control at all. So like if it happens, like you're kind of screwed. Like how many times you're going to walk in, you're just going to be like trapped and like find yourself trying to escape from puzzles from a little jigsaw puppet man, you're like I
Well,
don't
first off, if
know.
you were in that situation, you weren't gonna escape, so
No
you wouldn't have to
shit,
worry. Just one. The
Sherlock.
answer is one time. Um,
Yeah, but I
I'll
feel
give
like
I'll
I'm
give you a
more
little
I'm more
backstory in that. I used to
following
be
you around.
like, I'm not saying I don't believe whatever. I'm open to it. There's a lot of stuff we don't know, but I used to worry about it more like when I was younger. But the older I got, and the more tired I got from like work and just general life, it's like whatever. Like if there's a ghost or something creepy gonna come, I'm too tired. I'm just gonna stay sleeping anyway. If you're gonna murder me in my sleep, do it. I don't give a fuck. But what else we got going here? Shark Night 3D. I actually did see that in theaters. That movie was not good. It was cheesy, but it was a little ridiculous. The 3D effects sucked on it. You ever seen that one?
No.
They go they go to this like lake house. So it's sharks at a lake, and it's this one like I can't even remember the specifics if they were a cartel or a gang that was like stealing like exotic things, and somehow they released these sharks into the lake, and they're like eating like teenagers. But here's the thing, like this is something like Jaws is my favorite movie. Like we talked about this a little bit, but something about like shark films, there's always like the easiest solution for me. It's like just don't ever go in the water again. They can't come get you. Um, what else we got here? Another disappointment of that year for sure is The Thing. And that was even though it has the same, which is a big thing that I hate that they have been doing recently. Like they released Halloween 20, and you have to put in parentheses 2018. Like Halloween is the sequel to the original Halloween, which is also titled Halloween. Like I hated how studios started doing this. So The Thing is actually a prequel to the 1982 John Carpenter's The Thing. So I don't know why they just couldn't call it something different, but this one's disappointing because they, in the same way that the Wolfman was disappointing.
Mhm.
Um, both of those movies had extensive practical effects created for them,
Mhm.
which would have amplified the movie themselves. Because both of those movies actually have pretty solid stories. Just one of the major issues is the CGI in both of them looks so bad. In the upsetting part is behind the scenes. It turns out both of those films had extensive animatronics and props made that would have elevated the movie a lot. That at some point some executive said, "Nah, we're just gonna throw in shitty CGI and just shit on the movie." So that's another disappointing one there. Um, well, I actually forgot about this movie, but it was actually pretty solid. Was the Kevin Smith movie Red State?
Never
Which
saw it.
yeah, you're. This is why your brother adds a little bit to something on the podcast book because we
Yeah,
actually would
because
we'd
he's
actually go
old.
see these movies in theaters. Actually came out on our birthday. Little backstory to people who don't know. Me and Dylan's brother Aaron, that was on the last podcast, have the same birthday.
If people like really do their homework, they just found out your birthday.
Yeah, well, that's a little Easter egg. All right, give some people some little stuff to look forward to. But
Oh
the
boy.
movie's Red State. John Goodman was in it. It was these group of people that were taken, pretty much kidnapped by this cult like church, and then like the police department or whatever they were trying to get them back. And there's a couple twists and turns, and it was actually very well done. Um, I enjoyed it. I don't know about you, but actually I know about you. You didn't see it, so who knows? You even watch movies?
Once upon a time, I turned on the telly.
Let me stop you right there.
Okay.
What else we got going on? They released another Human Centipede. This is where the Human Centipedes just started getting like real stupid. Like the first one was like, what the fuck? Like it's something that you really hadn't seen before. And then the guy, I think his name was Tom Six, that made those movies, just started getting like real weird with it. Like that guy's a weird guy. Um, let's see any other notables that charted here. Not really. Not really. You ready for 2012, Bug?
I've been.
What were you doing in 2012?
2012 was a good year for me. 2012. So 2012 was the last year I think I played baseball.
Okay.
But
2012 I was playing college football. No big deal. NBD.
That's the year that I really stepped up my basketball game. And I went from being a little boy to a big boy because I probably. So there was between 2011 and 2014.
I don't want to be mean, Pug, but I didn't really care that much.
So the point is, I was in a gym somewhere.
Okay.
So I didn't watch movies. Plus, I was a little wee boy, and my super religious parents were not letting me watch bad movies.
See, this is where we differ because I was obviously still like doing the gym and stuff like that, but I don't really sleep. I sleep like 2 hours a night, so I'm always up. So I always have all that extra time for movies and stuff like that. And I'd always pretty much starting a Friday night go to the movie theaters. Like I've always been a big like movie theater guy.
I am now, but back then no.
So starting 2012, we got another Paranormal Activity at the top of the box office. Part 4 grossed 53 mil. I wouldn't say the worst in the series, but there's a steep drop off from 3 to 4. The only cool thing they had in Part 4 was that, remember the Xbox like Kinect camera that projects like the dots out?
Yeah.
They had a scene in there with that, and it like traced the outline of like the demon or ghost, whatever it was, in that. So that was a kind of cool scene, but the rest of it was just stupid.
Yeah, good one.
We had The Devil Inside. I'm pretty sure that was another like one of those possession type movies. And then we had The Possession, which wasn't half bad, but that was like a demon possessing one. Who the dad in that movie was actually Negan from The Walking Dead. Then we get another one which I actually enjoyed. It could have been better, but it did have some really cool moments in it. Sinister.
Oh yeah, I love Sinister.
Yeah, it's just a shame because I really didn't like the second one. Like if they could have took the first one, which was a solid film, and like expanded or polished it up a little bit in subsequent sequels, they could have had a lasting franchise there. But the second one kind of is just like, I don't know, it just isn't good.
Yeah, they could have done so much more with it.
And it also had this. The first Sinister had Ethan Hawke in it, and he's an actor that doesn't get the respect. Like he's a very good actor. I just feel like maybe he doesn't have like the best agent. Like he needs to be getting in more films.
I just don't. I don't know.
Here's one I went and saw in theaters, and I totally forgot about this movie, but now that I see it on the list here, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Yeah, how is that?
It was like a CG Abraham Lincoln fighting vampires and like doing like kung fu and shit. It's on that sounds cool, but on execution, when you see it, it's like,
man,
I just wasted like $12 on this movie. Another one I saw in theaters, and I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Because before I went, the reviews for it were like, "This is awesome, return to form." Was Texas Chainsaw 3D. And that one this was like, they really weren't doing this at the time, but this seemed like the first one that started doing that, because like Halloween had done it, like the newest one, where you ignore all the sequels, and this movie's just a sequel to the original one. I think they call it like a Legacy sequel. So they did that. This was the sequel to the first one, but there's so many dumb plot holes in this movie. Like, so they show stuff like modern times, like the one character's like using a iPhone to FaceTime, and the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre took place in the 70s, And long story short, it's about the cousin of the original, like, Leatherface coming in and inheriting the property because the rest of the family's dead, and coming in, and she doesn't really know this because she was adopted, but the ages wouldn't add up. She would have been in like her late 30s if she had been a baby, like during the first one. But then, so if this was to be the age that she was in the movie, it would have to take place in like the 90s. It was the script on this one was so just poorly put together. Like, I was so disappointed. I was like, I don't know how this is getting these hyped up reviews. Like, I went into the theater expecting like an awesome like follow up to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I was like, the crazy to say, but the remake was a way better film than this one. But the one bright side though is my favorite actress. Well, not because of her acting, but because of the way she looks. Alexandra Daddario is in this one.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
So I give this a
Okay.
10 out of 10. Ooh wee. Hey.
Hey. Oh hey.
All right, let's get back into this here. What else on the chart here? Number 8, good old Chernobyl Diaries. So I got a little
Chernobyl.
Yeah, I got a funny story about this. So we actually went. It was me and my girlfriend at the time went with your brother and his girlfriend to the drive-in, all the way up. Like, what's that? Like 30 minutes, 40 minutes from our house.
Yes.
At the time, our house at the time. Um, I cannot remember. The first movie we watched was a lot better, but it's a double feature, and the second one was Chernobyl Diaries. Like, that's the only way I saw this movie in theaters, because it was like honestly, it wasn't really half but it was like there was like a bear in it, like coming at him, but it's like like a documentary, like camera style film movie. But why can I not remember the first movie I saw before? The first movie that we was paired with this was like so good too. I don't know. Anyway, not relevant to the points, but second one came on, we were watching this, and his girlfriend, which, she was weird, pulled out a bag of linguine noodles. And she opens them up and goes, "Does anyone want some linguine?" Like, when you go to a movie theater, you're eating popcorn, you're eating candy, you're eating snacks. No one wants to eat linguine, and to top it off, there was no forks or nothing. Would she want us to just bare hand reach in and eat some fucking linguine? Like, you fucking kidding me?
Wait. What?
Yeah, she brought a bag of linguine with her.
Why?
With no utensils or anything. Like, would she can just reach in and just eat linguine, like, with the sauce and stuff on them, like, bare hand in the in the drive-in? I don't.
They had sauce on
Yeah,
them?
they had sauce on them. I was like, what the fuck did you just ask me? Like, you want me to take my bare ass hand in there and just scoop up some linguine?
She was just being polite.
Oh, okay.
I got some linguine here if you guys want to take a bite.
All right, back to our list here. What else we got going on? The Collection, the sequel to The Collector, which not a big fan of The Collection. I like The Collector. Just the direction that The Collection went in. Wasn't a big fan, but apparently they're making a sequel to come out here in the next couple years, The Collected. I think that was directed by Marcus Dunstan. I can't remember. Jesus.
My cat just hit my microphone.
Punch him.
I can't punch my cat.
What else do we got that came out? VHS, which that's like the anthology, which there was a couple creepy ones. I think the second VHS had one of the creepier ones. There was like an alien scene, like there's people like sleeping over, and there's this real creepy aliens. But those were pretty solid. I always watch those on Netflix. Any other notables here? Yeah, not really. This is before we're getting into the real meat of the decade. 2013, this is where we're starting to get real good.
This is what turned me on to horror movies.
This is when Bug first realized he was like a coherent person. So starting off, the number one here, and definitely a highlight of the decade. Very enjoyable horror movie for me, The Conjuring. That grossed $137 million.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing that in theaters. I remember when the previews came out first, and people were like, what the fuck? Like the first in the previews they showed the hands where she had like the light and then like she's doing that clap and then those hands clap behind her. It's like, oh shit. But that
I
one,
remember seeing that in theaters too.
yeah, that one
Was
was really well done. Then you got your good old Insidious Chapter 2, which I wasn't the biggest fan of the second one.
Oh, I love the second one too.
Of course you do. It was all about Patrick Wilson.
Yeah, and who doesn't love P. Will?
Is that what you and that's what you and your boys call
I I guess so. We haven't really decided on anything. The boys are so indecisive these days.
him? We had after that Mama, which that one, it was all right. It was like
Yeah,
kind of a cool story, but
I didn't like it that much.
yeah,
I did like. Let's put it in perspective. I like Scary Movie 5's parody of Mama. I think it was Scary Movie 5.
I don't even remember.
It's one with Ashley Tisdale. Tisdale.
Yeah, I can't even remember. There was a time when I would see like starting with the third one, those movies in theaters, but I can't. They're like forgettable. Like the first two are absolutely hilarious. Even the third one. The third one still cracks me up, but
Oh no, yeah, the
after
first three
that,
are great. 4 and 5 are trash. But
oh,
I liked the parody more than I liked Mama.
yeah, that Mama one was like it was a cool concept, but
Not
after
for
a while
me.
it just loses. Yeah, and like the way it ends is like kind of like eh. There's a lot of times on a movie you've seen movies with me where it's like there's that pause before the movie's over, and I'm just like, I don't know. Except for
Oh
when we
yeah.
saw Star Wars, I literally turned to you and I was like, no,
Oh,
that's not
you
right.
That was the best reaction I think I've ever heard. You turn to me and goes, "This movie fucking sucked. I gotta piss."
Dude, I've never had a piss so bad in my life. The movie, well, first off, the movie's 2.5 hours
Um,
long, and you figured since we were seeing a movie, which I didn't even know they had movie times at 1:15 a.m., that the average movies nowadays, they put too many like, don't
yeah.
get me wrong, I love seeing the previews, but I only usually, because you know this is who am as a person, I use the previews as a buffer. Like, say, the movie's supposed to start at 1:15. I know that I got 30 minutes of previews, so I can walk in the door at like 1:40 and I'll be good. The movie won't start yet. But it's that movie had 50 minutes worth of previews. So we didn't walk out of the theater till what 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't get home till I think it was either 4:30 or 4:45.
Yeah, that was nuts. Anyway, back to the list here. So I'm looking at these and I'm actually thinking 2013 is a year I saw a lot of these movies in theaters. Evil Dead, the remake, I saw that in theaters. Well, that's technically like a reboot and could be in the same universe as the originals, but I thought that one was actually done really well. The one scene where they're down in like the flooded basement and that was shot really well. It was a really creepy scene. Like it wasn't like a cheap jump scare, but some of the practical effects in that one were real good. Like when the one girl cuts her tongue in half with the was electric knife, whatever those are called, carvers. There's some good
What
stuff in
is
there.
it?
The Evil Dead reboot.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
You had the Carrie remake, which I don't know, wasn't for me. Like then You're Next, I did see that one in theaters, and I'm not gonna lie, that was probably my favorite movie of the whole entire decade. And I'll talk about that a little bit later when we're talking about our favorites. But that movie, I just remember walking out of theaters and just be like, "This is I didn't know wanted this, but this is the movie that I wanted."
This is what I'm gonna get.
You got another Paranormal Activity, the marked ones, which that was very bad, not good.
Yes.
Dark Skies, which when the original trailers came out, that looked like it was going to be awesome. It was about aliens coming and like messing with his family, and no one's believing them. Even had the dude that played J. Jonah Jameson in it as like a professor type. Like you know, in Sinister, there was like the professor that was played by Vincent D'Onofrio from Law and
Yeah.
Order. He plays a similar type role there, but that one was also disappointing.
Yep.
The trailers made it look good though. What else did we have going on here? Rob Zombie's Lords of Salem, which that one was just more weird than anything. Like, movie starts off with naked old lady witch titties, and it's like, I don't really want to be seeing this. But it's different. It has a lot of good imagery, but I don't know that I liked it. Like, you see some movies, you're like, I'm not sure if I like this or not. That's when I first saw Lords of Salem. You got the Wicker Man. That's not the remake. Now that's, I guess, for a special anniversary they re-released that. But speaking of, did you ever see the Wicker Man remake with Nicolas Cage? You probably at least seen the clips when he's like, the bees, the goddamn bees.
Yes, I have seen the clips. I haven't seen the movie.
Honestly, it's not worth seeing the movie. The clips are like the only thing that make it worthwhile. Like when he runs up and he just like front kicks that little girl.
You know what movie? I don't think it was listed under 2010. But you know what movie came out in 2010?
What?
Tucker and Dale vs. Evil.
Oh, well, because this is just like the box office charting, but that is a very good movie.
I
actually probably watched it on Netflix like 5 or 6 times over the years.
Because it's hilarious.
I like both those actors. Like the chubbier one, he used to be on this TV show that I would watch sometimes about, it was like this guy had to deal with the devil and had to get like souls back or something like that. I forget what it was, Reaper, I think it was called, something like that, but he was the friend on that. He was funny. And then the other main guy was Steve the Pirate from Dodgeball. Yeah, that was actually a really good one. That was pretty unique too, because it was like the group of people thought that they were the killers, but they were really just trying to help him out. And the other friend was like the possessed killer, or whatever. Like it was entered. Most of all, if you're gonna make a horror comedy, it has to be funny, and that was funny and entertaining.
Yes.
What else we got on the list here? VHS 2. That's that one I was saying before. Had that cool alien segment. Other than that, nothing really notable there. So on to 2014. 2014, you're getting a lot of spin-offs here. So you got Annabelle, which wasn't the first one. So they actually started getting good. So I'll give credit on that, but that first one was not really worth your time. It did make money for them. You had Ouija, which that was actually pretty solid. Yeah. Pronounced Ouija.
No.
Deliver Us from Evil, which that's another one of those like possession ones, which I actually did see that in theaters, and it was actually pretty solid. The villain in that movie was actually pretty cool. I think that's one that has Eric Bana as one of like the cops, or like he was like the ex-priest. Oculus was pretty solid. That one had some like creepy moments. The Woman in Black too. I mean, I can't really say. I really don't remember that one too much. I know it's solid. The first one was the one with Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah.
What else did he have going on here? Tusk. That's another Kevin Smith one, which I thought was pretty solid. Doesn't really give much credit. Johnny Depp plays like a small part as a weird like French Canadian detective. Jason Long gets turned into a like human walrus. It was weird, and but it was good. It was entertaining. Oh, we got one here. This one's definitely, I know this one's on your disappointment list, and it was on mine too. But I'm gonna let you take that for the disappointment. But the Babadook, like,
can I just say one thing about it right now?
Talk about an overrated movie. Jesus Christ!
I'm just gonna say one thing about it right now.
What?
That was a wet fart. If you couldn't, and not a good wet fart.
Damn.
It was an overreacted wet fart. A wet fart that you thought shit was going to come out of, but nothing came out.
Jeez. Alright, what else we got going on in 2014?
Horns.
I forgot about this. So this is a thing that I'm real big on too. I'll just briefly talk about, but anytime, because obviously there's been a ton of classic movies that have come out before we were born. But I've always been big growing up. Like, I'd watch them with my grandpa and stuff, like old like horror movies. And I don't know, this one's like science fiction, but the original one's kind of like horror. But in 2014 they had the original Godzilla, the Japanese version with subtitles back in theaters, which I originally came up on the American version, like the King of Monsters with Raymond Burr and stuff like that. Which it's a fine movie, but if you want to see like that movie to extent, see the original Gojira, and that was back in theaters. I remember going to see that in 2014 as well. I didn't remember it was in 2014, but now that I see this on the list, that's when I did go back and see that.
Yeah.
I have to check and see what other ones are probably going to be 30th, 40th, whatever anniversary coming up. It's definitely, they always do those Fathom events, which are real cool. If you get a chance, definitely go. Certain movies you've seen like your whole life, they just hit differently on in like the big screen bug.
I know. That's why I want to see a lot of like original ones, classics.
That's if I ever got real big, I would just invest in my own like personal movie theater, and I wouldn't get like digital copies. I'd go back and get the actual like physical like reels and put them through that way.
That's so expensive though.
Yeah, but
that's like stupidly expensive.
Yeah, that's why I said like you gotta get real big. Invent something, bug. Jesus.
Oops.
What else is on this list here? Exists. That one was actually made by the dudes that made Blair Witch Project. And I saw that this was like 2 or 3 years ago on Stars. It was like randomly on at like 3 in the morning. And it wasn't terrible. It was like goofy though. It's like about Bigfoot. It was like a mockumentary, like kind of like Blair Witch, but they were looking for Bigfoot, and like Bigfoot's like throwing Bigfoot. Spoiler alert: Bigfoot kills him at the end. It's kind of funny.
Yes.
All right, on to 2015.
Horrible
2015. I mean, I guess there's worse ways to go. Like, you got killed by Bigfoot.
You got killed by a mythological creature that like more than 50% of the world doesn't believe in.
Yeah, but if at that point and they could prove it, like you'd go down the history books like Philip Buggs got murdered by a big hairy ape. We found him. There he is.
First reported case of death by Bigfoots.
All right, 2015. So, I actually remember going and seeing this with a group of people, which is weird because it's not really. This one wasn't really made for my age group at the time, but it was based upon a series of books, which like really defined my childhood. Like obviously I liked horror coming up, but like when you're a kid, like there's certain things that get you into it, like the Goosebumps books and the TV series, or on Nickelodeon when they had Are You Afraid of the Dark. So I did see that was the top grosser that year, Goosebumps, 79 million in 2015 there, which I thought that movie was, I mean, it was entertaining. Wasn't made for me, but it was entertaining, and I'll pretty much see Jack Black in anything.
Yeah, it was good for one reason only. Jack Black.
I thought you said because you went to the theater with those little kids.
No, I was at the theater with the little kids.
2015, you weren't a little kid.
2015.
That was 5 years ago.
2015, I turned 18.
Yeah, you're going to jail.
I turned like a big boy.
What else Insidious Chapter 3. I like the third one.
No, the third one was trash.
Is that third one the prequel one?
Yeah, the one without Patrick Wilson.
Hey, you don't even like Insidious, you just like Patrick Wilson.
No, I do like Insidious.
Okay.
But the third one I thought was trash.
That's some other things. Poltergeist remake really doesn't stand up to the original there.
No.
This one was actually surprisingly good, Unfriended. That was the one that was told mostly through like they're like Skyping and stuff like that. Like that one's pretty solid.
Oh yeah.
Crimson Peak, the Guillermo del Toro one, which that one's really not as horror. It's like spooky, there's ghosts, but I don't know. Visually it looked really good, but it was kind of a bore. You had Sinister 2, which we already talked about that. Does not as good as the first one. Lazarus Effect also didn't really do it for me, as well as the next one, The Gallows. I thought that was cheesy, but that's where like Blumhouse was first starting to get big, when they're like producing, putting those movies out. You had the last Paranormal Activity that they released, the Ghost Dimension. which that one was also garbage. I think that one was in 3D as well. Here's another one that was run limited and super hyped and also made my disappointment list. And a lot of people love this movie, talk about how great it is. It Follows. And I remember walking out of the theater because before it came out, like, this is when it really started the rash. And you're going to see this with a lot of movies that come out. Specifically with this studio A24, they're always hyping up, like, this is the scariest movie ever, like, people, whatever. Like, and studios have done that for years, but that's like their main draw because they're like a smaller studio and they produce these movies for small amounts and they make a ton of money with them. But It Follows was all hyped. They're like, oh, it's in the background and stuff. And I just thought, personally, it was trying to just do stuff that other movies had done a lot better. Like, everything in It Follows was done better in the original Halloween. But anyway, that was on there. Green Inferno. I'd seen that one. I don't know. I did see that one in the theaters. That was like, it was different. It's a throwback to Eli Roth throwback to like old like Cannibal Holocaust, Cannibal Ferox, like those old Grindhouse style movies. And it was a little bit too polished compared to those old, like, something about being grainy and that Grindhouse made it feel more realistic than a high polished like Hollywood production. What else do we got on this list? Your boy the Babadook shows up again.
Yeah, I'm done with that. I don't want to talk about it.
You got the Human Centipede 3. Nothing really much to say about that.
Yeah, just skip over that.
Alright, let's get out to good old 2016. We're getting close to modern day. This is where like things really start picking up. You got The Conjuring 2, which is, I'd say, on par with the first one. And there was actually scenes in The Conjuring 2 that really creeped me out because I used to have like recurring nightmares when I was younger, and it was like literally like spot for spot like a scene that was in that movie. Like, picture me being, I went and saw, because this is when I was living in Cleveland, like for work, and I went and saw this in the theaters by myself, and I remember just being like, oh my fuck, like, picture like you have a nightmare from ages like 8 to 10, like once a month, and then you get older, you forget about that nightmare, and then years down the line, you're sitting in a movie theater, and the nightmare you used to have plays out exactly on the screen. You'll be shitting your pants. Like that scene in that movie where the kid's like walking in the hallway, and it's like real quiet, then you just hear someone yell, like full out, like yell, like from the room down the hallway. Like, I used to have that dream all the time, but... So, good movie. And it also made $102 million. Another big one that year, which was really hyped, and I wouldn't say it was still a good movie, but a minor disappointment for me was Don't Breathe. That movie had a lot of plot holes in it that kind of took me out of the experience.
Yeah, I got things to say about that.
We had the Purge election year. So we really didn't talk much about
the Purge,
the other ones, but during this decade, a lot of the Purge, in which I'll go see them. I still feel like there's a good story to tell in there. It's just when they're come,
not telling it.
Yeah, they come, they release these movies from different perspectives each time, and they're just not as interesting as they could be. Like, there's a good story you could tell in the Purge universe that would be really compelling, but the ones they choose are just like, and people make dumb decisions in them too. We got Lights Out, which, I don't know, I didn't really like it. The thing with Lights Out was originally from a very short, like 10-minute movie, like someone submitted to like a contest, and the 10-minute movie is like very good. It's like this ghost, and it only moves when like your lights are out, so if the lights are on you're fine, and then that whole thing in the short 10-minute thing, it worked really well. It was very compelling, but it showed that if you drug that out to a full feature-length movie, like there's just not enough there to keep you entertained. We had The Boy. That one was all right. About Ouija Origin of Evil. That I actually really like that one. I'm pretty sure that was a Mike Flanagan one.
Yeah, I actually love that one. That was a good one.
So another one of those hyped all-time scary movies, and I'll give credit. It's very well done. It really focuses on like the language and the setting to really put you as a period piece. But the movie's not scary at all, and it's like it's frustrating when you see something hyped so much and then you go to theaters. It almost ruins it for you. You shouldn't let that like sway your perspective, but when people start agreeing with that just because that's what they heard is where it gets frustrating. But The Witch, I remember going to see that in theaters and being like, "What the fuck? Like this is not what it was advertised to be."
Just a disappointment.
Then you had the long time follow up to the original Blair Witch that came out in '99 with it was just called Blair Witch, which the backstory to this was cooler than the actual movie that we got. So there was scheduled for like a year that this movie was going to come out called The Woods, and there was I don't know if it was at a Comic-Con screening or something like that. The people thought they were going to see this new like early preview for this movie that was going to come out called The Woods, and they sat down and the title card didn't say The Woods when the movie started. It said Blair Witch, and it turned out this was a secret sequel that was filmed to the Blair Witch, like under a different title. So that concept was cool, but the movie itself was pretty dumb. They at least let you see the witch in that one though. Like that's my only issue with the original one. I thought the original one was put together well and stuff like that, but if they would have just given you like even a little glimpse, like you see like a leg coming through the frame or something like that the witch was out there, I think that would have improved the original one. But anyway, we have one of my surprises on here. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but the Green Room, which we were talking about the other day, which studio that I don't hate it, I just hate their marketing, A24. That movie is the best way to describe it is like real horror. It's about a like punk rock band that gets this gig playing at this club, and it turns out it's a club run by a bunch of skinhead neo-Nazis. They witness a murder, and the people in the club aren't letting them leave, and they have to try to stay alive and figure a way out of here. And it turns out the head Nazi that owns the place is Patrick Stewart. And it's acted so well, and like the scenes, like you've seen so many movies, you figure like, oh, they're gonna rise up, and there's a scene when they go to leave the room for the first time, and they're like, you think like, oh, they got a gun now, they're gonna go out there and they're gonna fight these guys off and they're gonna kind of escape. But the violence in this is so realistic, like they just get wrecked at first and have to like fall back, like a dog jumps on the guy and bites the dude's throat out, and it's like realistic violence that's so realistic that it's like startling. You're like, in a real situation, it doesn't play out like one person doesn't kill like 50 people then escape, like especially untrained people that are just like in a punk rock band. Like it's the realism is what makes this movie scary. It's definitely, I would highly recommend The Green Room. What else we got going on this year, Bug? That Neon Demon, that one's actually pretty weird. I don't think you'd like it, but it was strange.
Neon Demon.
Yeah.
Then a whole bunch of just small stuff. Just
Yeah.
Demon, Clown, Under the Shadow. There wasn't.
I saw that clown one wasn't bad. That was the dad tries to dress up for his
Oh, if
kids.
he like gets
It's stuck on his
him until he
and
turns
he
into a
starts.
clown.
Yeah, I think you've seen that one.
Yeah, I think I watched it, and I think I told you to watch it because I thought it was horrible.
I thought it was a horror, nothing special. Like I wouldn't go. Obviously, I wouldn't go out of my way to see it, but
It didn't keep me entertained. That was
and
my
that's
biggest
I was gonna
issue.
say that's the biggest complaint a movie can get, because movies can be terrible, but terribly entertaining. Like looking at like a train wreck or something like that, or could have redeeming spots. But if something's boring, like that's probably like the biggest like mark you could put on a movie. You're not entertaining. Sorry.
Yes.
Then we go into 2017, and this is where shit starts popping off for sure.
Like it gets good.
Little movie you might have heard of, Stephen King's It. In 2017, it made all of the money. That's actually not
Literally
true. I think like
all of
probably
the money.
no, because there's a lot of Disney Marvel movies that made all the money, but for a horror movie, it made a shit ton. 327 million. We've talked about it a little bit. It Chapter 1. You're a horror fan, definitely fucking see that movie. You're a fan of
I'll push
like
that
the
later.
coming of age kids adventure, see that movie.
Yeah.
Good movie.
Yep.
Nut also came out that year. Phenomenal movie. I mean, I don't really know what else to say about this. If you're a horror fan and you didn't see Get Out, like, you're just doing yourself a huge disservice. Get Out, phenomenal. Jordan Peele, directorial debut, absolutely crushes it.
Yeah, it was a lot. I didn't think he was
I was
gonna
gonna
be
say
that good
that's another
because he
thing.
doesn't come from like a horror background. To me, he comes from a comedy background, and he crushed it.
Yeah, but if you think about it in a lot of ways, like originally I had the same feelings, but if you take a step back and think about it, like the big thing with comedy and horror, it's about setup and then payoff. Like in a horror movie, it's like the tension's built, and then there's the big scare, the big reveal, like the murder, something like that. So it's all about tension, payoff. And if you look at comedy, it's the same thing. You're doing the setting up a joke, and then there's the punchline. So there's the same formula for comedy and horror. But I was skeptical at the beginning because Jordan Peele is such a goofy. Like I always liked the Key and Peele show and stuff like that, but I didn't know like he had that in him, and that movie was absolutely phenomenal. That movie's a masterpiece.
It is. It's instant classic. Instant classic.
What else was I gonna say about that one? And another thing, I mean, it's a very serious movie, but at the same time, the comedy is hilarious. His friend, the TSA agent, that dude's hilarious.
Yes. Absolutely hilarious.
You also have another surprise one coming from M. Night Shyamalan, who had The Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, Signs, and then he just kind of like started producing real shit movies. But this was like kind of like his comeback, along with I think it came out in 2014, but I had it on my list of surprises, The Visit. But then this was just like a 1-2 punch, just to let you know that like, hey, he still got this in him. Was Split. I remember going to see this in theaters, and the ending was like absolute crazy twist, because at the time Split came out, you thought it was just a movie about James McAvoy's character having this split personality, where one of them's this creepy, like, called the Beast, that murders the people, and he has the people captured, and you're like, oh, what the hell, like, this is something. And then the twist that it turns out that this takes place in the same universe as M. Night Shyamalan's superhero movie with Bruce Willis, Unbreakable, which came out in 2002. So what was that? 15 years before. Like, that was the biggest twist to me. I was in the movie theater, and like there wasn't many people in there with me. Eventually, I guess a lot of people saw it, but I just remember sitting there and just when they showed Bruce Willis's character, then I was like, what the fuck? But the follow-up, Glass, was not good. But this was definitely a bright spot and unexpected for me at the time. Annabelle Creation, which I thought was really good.
Yeah, that was great.
That was the one
as well. Whereas like what the 40s or 50s it takes place
at that farmhouse. There's that cool scene with the scarecrow in the barn.
Yeah.
Another one I really liked was Happy Death Day. That made 55 million. I thought that was, I mean, not super as far as like in the horror genre, kind of unique with the time travel and stuff, but
I'd consider it more.
I thought it was fresh. I think the big part about that is the main actress, and I can't remember her name, but she really carried that movie. I thought she did a really good job, and the comedy in that was funny as well. I know you probably don't like her scene at the end of the movie though, when he's like, "Oh yeah, it's just like Back to the Future," and she's like, "What's Back to the Future?"
Oh yeah, yeah. That kind of turned me off. Sorry, I googled
another
her.
one I
She's
saw in
like
theaters
40
that
years
year.
old.
The girl?
Yeah, she's old.
No, she's not.
She's up there. She's definitely not 19 like she's supposed to be in the movie when she's in college.
Not 40 years old.
Dude, she's up there. I'm telling you right now.
I'm looking it up. Can you hear that? My mouse is. I gotta get a new mouse.
No, I can't.
All right, cool.
So what do we got? Alien Covenant.
She was
Happy
born
Death
in
Day.
1987.
Yeah, dude, she's practically 40.
What? She's 3 years older than me. That means she's 32. Not
Dude,
even yet. She was born in May of that. She's
You're about to hit 40.
fucking idiot. Where the fuck were we here?
She's like, all right, she's 10 years, 12 years older than she's supposed to be in that movie.
What else do we got going on here? Alien Covenant, absolute garbage. The whole concept of the two most recent in the Alien franchise that came out, Prometheus and Alien Covenant. The biggest issue I have in movies is when characters are dumb and we're supposed to just accept that. So both Prometheus and Alien Covenant have the same issue, that these are supposed to be highly trained, highly educated scientists, and they do the stupidest thing. Let's go on an uninhabited, unexplored alien world, and we're not going to wear any type of suit or protection. We don't know what's here. Oh, there's like a snake creature in here. Let's put our face over it. I wonder what it does. Like, that's stupid. You're supposed to be highly intelligent characters, and you do dumb shit. Like, that takes me right out of a movie. Visually, though, those two movies do look good, but plot-wise, stupid. Hey, stupid.
You know what that means? Stupid writers.
A little bit of a surprise. 47 meters down. That one was surprisingly not bad. Where they're trapped in that shark diving cage at the 47 meters down in the ocean. The twist. I'm not gonna ruin it for you. The twist in that one's good though.
Okay.
And it lines up with stuff that happens in reality, like the effect that caused the twist is definitely, that's a real thing. So if you get a chance, check that one. I didn't see the second one though, but yeah, worth a watch. Jigsaw, which was a follow up after a couple years to the last Saw movie, didn't do it for me. Rings, also garbage. And also a big part about the Rings that pisses me off is they had lined up to produce the next Friday the 13th movie before they got into that whole legal battle over the rights. They had a set amount of time they could make it, started their production, and Paramount Pictures, that had the rights back, released the Rings movie, which nobody wanted. They lost a shit ton of money on it, and then they stopped the production on their horror movies. So that cost us having another Friday the 13th movie before the rights battle started. So fuck the Rings.
Gotcha. I did not know that.
All right, and then you come down to another A24 production, which the trailer on this movie looked fucking awesome. I convinced your brother didn't want to go. I convinced him to go. We went and saw that movie, and we both walked out of the theaters and were so pissed off. It comes at night. Let me spoil this for you. Nothing comes at night. There's nothing.
Yeah.
I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to our surprises, or our disappointments. What else you got? They released the Jeepers Creepers 3 that was nowhere close to on par with the first two. Just an absolute garbage movie. It honestly looked like it was a Sci-Fi Channel movie. You had The Void, which I ended up watching on Netflix. Looked good. Story really didn't do it for me. What was that?
That was an ad that somehow popped up.
Oh, yeah, on the one website I was on. Is that the numbers.com website? If you scroll up over that, it starts. I found that out before the episode. I should have told you. Hey, my bad.
Whoops.
All right, let's go on to 2018 here. You got A Quiet Place, which I thought was okay. It got really great reviews. I thought it was an alright movie. It was written by your boy, Jim from The Office, John Krasinski. Him and his wife were in it. Well acted. A little bit of plot holes in that movie that kind of take you out of it. That's why I don't go as high on that, but definitely a solid movie. He also had the follow-up to Halloween, which was a sequel to the original one, which production-wise, visually looked really good. Also had a little bit of issues with the plot, but it was good to see a solid Halloween sequel made. You had The Nun, which was disappointing to me because that character is creepy. The female actor that they have play the nun, like, she is such a uniquely looking person. It's creepy. Yeah, they just made it like jump scare, stupid jump scare after one after
Yeah,
another, and the story didn't fit into the Conjuring universe, which this is
not at all.
pulled off of, where everything's very, there's a ton of paranormal obviously, but realism based, where this one is like involves the blood of God and stupid. You had the first Purge, which actually I kind of like the first Purge. I thought they did a good job.
Not bad.
Insidious 4, The Last Key, which I really
That
like.
one
I
is
like the way
actually
the demon looked in
pretty
that one.
good.
Was he the
Yeah,
key, like the key guy,
the
key
Key
man?
Master. Yeah, no, that one actually was a decent movie. I'd recommend
Uh,
watching that.
Goosebumps 2, which pretty much same as the
Didn't
first.
watch it.
Yeah.
Super childish.
Then you had another A24 that was way hyped. As all this is the scariest, and another thing, like that's where the marketing issues, because Hereditary is a very good movie, but it's not scary. There's a lot of tension, very very good acting. Toni Collette crushes it in it. It's like a very sad story about dealing with grief, and but the final act in that movie is like, it's supposed to be scary, but it's so goofy. Like I was in the theater and people were like genuinely laughing. Um, but it was a good movie, but it's just another A24 marketed wrong. Well, I guess when you make on a small budget like that 44 million, I guess technically business wise it was marketed right, but it's that's the type of marketing that the causes like division and makes the film very divisive. And people have arguments over it, but it is a quality film. It's not it's not scary, but it's very quality. Um, yeah, that terrible Slender Man movie that they released was stupid. A movie I was not, this made my surprises list, not expecting to be good, which I wouldn't say it's good, so a little caveat with my surprises. I'm not saying that this movie was good, but it entertained me a lot more than I thought, was The Strangers Prey at Night. There was a sequel to The Strangers that came out 10 years after the first one came out, and um, I would definitely say, I was gonna say the last decade, but I guess that's technically 2 decades ago now. The 2000s, Strangers was one of the better horror movies in the 2000s. Um, what else we got going on this list?
I'm trying to think.
Had a sequel to Unfriended, which I don't think I saw that one. Hellfest I saw. It was not very good.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing really too crazy. A bunch of smaller things further down the list there. And that brings us up to the most recent year.
Wait, no, what year did that movie with James Franco come out?
The bank heist one? I think it's called The Heist. I don't know. It was on Netflix.
Did you watch that yet?
Yeah, I didn't really like it.
Dude, it was so funny though. Like that was one of those movies where like it was really bad. There was a lot of like holes in that plot, but it was so funny to me.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's a lot of bad movies I like, but I just didn't really keep me entertained. All right, so let's go to 2019 here. You got the big one, which I didn't. I still thought it was solid. Didn't like it as much as the first one, but honestly, if you look at the way the stories are set up, the adult part was always the weaker story of the It novel. But It Chapter 2 came out this year, made $211 million, which is insane for a horror movie still. Annabelle Comes Home, which I thought that was another solid one. I still liked Annabelle Creation better, but I liked what they did with Annabelle Comes Home. Another little bit disappointment for me was Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, which growing up as a kid in the 90s there, everyone would get those books at the Scholastic school fairs and stuff like that, and the art on them was so creepy. It's like, honestly, you felt like a kid, like you shouldn't even have those. Like the stories were good in those. And the sad part is, the most ideal thing you could make with this is if you would have made it anthology, or even an anthology where it had characters that connected and stuff, but they kind of made it like the Goosebumps movie, where it was like all like jammed in there, and it just really, it really didn't do it for me there. Curse of La Llorona, which also takes place in the Conjuring universe, was not good. Um, I don't know, not much to say about that.
No,
The
just
Pet
not good.
Cemetery remake looked all right, wasn't really necessary, and I really didn't like how they ended it. Um, Crawl, we reviewed that one. That was definitely a surprise for me. I don't know about you. I didn't put it on the surprise list, but I felt like in a
Well, it's a
review of it
surprise for me.
earlier.
Definitely something I did not
Yeah,
expect.
we didn't. I remember at first you didn't want to go see that movie.
Yeah, because I thought it was gonna be super cheesy. Here comes Sharknado
Yeah,
7 or
yeah.
whatever the
I
hell it
don't
is.
blame you. But then I was like saying like, listen, I know like some of this guys, the director and the people that worked on it, their former work. Like it might look cheesy. Like I definitely think their um marketing didn't do the best job for them. Sometimes when they cut trailers and stuff like that, they work with like early footage and stuff. But when we went and saw that movie, we both were pleasantly surprised. Um, this one, I guess, this one's a little bit. I mean, obviously, there's a bunch of months in between, but Doctor Sleep at the end of 2019 only made $31 million compared to Crawl made 39 million. Like Crawl came out in July and Doctor Sleep came out the beginning of November, but I would expect the Doctor Sleep to do better. Like honestly, that movie was. If we
I,
were
th-
doing top movies of 2019, like horror wise, I mean that's probably my number one horror movie of 2019.
I think it came out too late to make
Yeah, that's the
its
part.
full
Like I know they
potential.
they thought about it again and they limited released it on Halloween, but like on that day, everyone's trick or treating. They're doing other things. Like if you want to really do a good job releasing a horror movie, you either release it like the very last week of September or the very first week of October.
Oh no, they released it into November.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's they really didn't do it service. But what they also did is that when they realized they kind of fucked up, they limited released it for one night only on October 31st, and then wide
Uh,
released it November 8th. But like you kind of fucked up there. Like you missed like so Halloween ends, and obviously we're different. We're horror movie people. Like we're Halloween's all year for us. But like the average moviegoer and stuff, like they get in that horror mode like fall happens end
once
of
a month.
September, and then they're
Yeah.
like up until that whole stretch. Basically, it's just the month of October. You have October 31st, midnight, November 1st. They flipped over. They're thinking Thanksgiving. Some people even put up Christmas stuff. Like so, you have to like marketing wise really think that out, and they kind of dropped the ball on that.
You gotta
Um,
delegate your shit.
what other ones they got here? Child's Play. The remake was all right. Really didn't have much to do with the original like mythology of Child's Play. Aubrey Plaza was in it. I like Aubrey Plaza. Some of
Yeah,
the
you can't
stuff
go
was
wrong with
funny.
her.
Mark Hamill voicing Chucky, like I thought did pretty good, but I don't know.
I give him credit. He's a better voice actor than what most people think of him.
Well, most people really don't realize the stuff like the Joker on the Batman animated series. Like that was a huge part of my childhood. Like Batman animated series was the shit.
Yeah, those like first two games were the shit.
What else did we got going on here? Midsummer. So that's another A24 hyped as this crazy. Solid movie, but that movie's like there's some horrifying things in it, but it's more about dealing with grief and loss and overcoming things like that. It's an art style movie. It's not something like and they want to make the money and market it like this is another terrifying movie from the people that brought you Hereditary, and it's like you're creating this divisive reaction when I don't know. I guess a lot of people operate under the idea any press is good press, but I know that when an A24 movie comes out, to take it with a grain of salt. You can't go in with those preconceived notions on what the marketing says because that's going to piss you off and you might not enjoy the movie as much as you normally would. What's some other? Speaking of trash, though, remember we went and saw Hellboy?
Oh, did they really put that on this list?
It was. Well, I mean, it's just based upon how much money it made. It made 21 million. That movie was so fucking bad. Your brother actually kind of liked it too.
Everything about that movie was horrible.
Yeah, and I love the
It-
old Hellboys.
oh, you can't go wrong with
I've
the
actually
old
read some of
ones.
the comics, dude. It's like good. Like that's the sad part is you could see that movie and you could see there's some good stuff. Like when it goes and sees like the Baba Yaga and like that was like a cool like character design stuff, but like it was just they had no idea what they were doing with that movie.
Yeah, they really shit the bed with it. Because Hellboy is a badass character from the
Yeah.
Marvel universe, and
He is not from the Marvel universe.
Oh, DC, whatever the hell.
He is not from DC.
Oh no, he's not. He's from a universe. Don't know which one it is right now.
I think he's Image Comics. I'm not 100%, but one of the ones like that. But I just know he's not the major two. But along with Heroes, this one I kind of liked. It wasn't anything special, but it was entertaining. Another Office reference for you. The dad was Roy from The Office, but Brightburn. Basically, like, what if Superman, when he was born, turned out to be evil? That one was pretty entertaining. I like that one.
It's actually what if Superman was a dick?
No, it's worse than that, dude. It would be pure evil. Like he does some shit in that movie, dude. He like breaks this glass and a piece of shard of glass gets stuck in this lady's eye and she tries to lock herself in the freezer like at that diner and she's like freaking out trying to pull the glass out of her eye and he melts the door down and kills her. Like he's fucking badass. He fucks this one dude up and this dude's jaw falls off. Nuts. We should actually, when it's slower, because I was looking at the schedule, obviously early on in the year horror releases are a little bit slower. We can go back and maybe do a big review on that one. I think you might enjoy that one.
Yeah, I'm down to do that.
What else? Some other notables we got on this list here. Nothing too crazy. All right, well, let's talk about.
Oh, did The Ritual? Was that on there?
Oh yeah, no, because it was released on Netflix. We should
That was a
definitely
good
look that up. I enjoyed The Ritual. I was thinking about that movie actually the other day because I would like to do like what those guys did. A couple friends, and they went and backpacked and camped across like what was it, Scandinavia? Like
Yeah, I can't do that now.
yeah.
I've seen The Ritual.
That's what I'm saying. Like that probably ruins it for people. But I thought that like that would be like a cool concept. Like back there, like you're not gonna get killed by who knows? No one knows.
Dude, I thought every place out of the United States was a peaceful place. So
I really did like
that.
I like the creature. I thought the creature design was really unique in that as well.
Oh, very like the demigod type deal. Yeah. I guess it wasn't a demigod. It was just a god.
Like some whatever religion or they got going on over there.
Yeah, the stick people religion.
It's goddamn stick people. All right, let's talk about our favorites though, from this decade. Why does my voice always sound like that? I just should always talk like this.
You just always had a real deep voice.
I'm just gonna start smoking 6 packs of cigarettes a day. Sound like Tom Waits.
Get a cartridge.
All right. Well, do you want to go first on some of your favorites? This is not like rank, whatever, but like your personal. It might not be what's the best, whatever, but like what you really enjoyed most out of the decade.
All right. I wrote down 5 that I liked most of the decade. I'm just gonna list them real fast. We'll talk about them afterwards. Number 5.
We'll just go one at a time. They don't just say them, and then we'll briefly talk about them.
All right. Number 5, Horns with Daniel Radcliffe.
That was a solid one.
Super unexpected for me. To me, that was a super surprise.
Yeah, I remember watching it on Netflix and being like, "This is actually very well done."
Yes.
I kind of like what Daniel Radcliffe does now. Like, he never has to work again. He's made so much money. He'll always be getting residuals from Harry Potter on TV and stuff like that. He's set for life. So he starts doing these like obscure. He does the projects he wants to do. You know.
Yeah, and Horns is definitely not like after watching Harry Potter, then you see Daniel Radcliffe in the movie called Horns. You're like, oh, what the hell is this?
Do you want to talk about weird?
Super unexpected.
Go check out the movie Swiss Army Man with Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah, he's seen it. It's creepy as hell.
Oh, dude, that movie is strange.
Yes, it is. I don't understand it.
All right, what's your next one?
Next one is Insidious.
Okay.
I'll say Insidious franchise because I liked 1, 2, and 4. 3 I thought was a piece of crap. Not because it didn't have Patrick Wilson. Patrick Wilson.
Tom Wilson's all right. Let's talk, but we don't talk about this in podcast because we briefly we keep our sports out of this. But Tom Wilson of the Washington Capitals could go fuck himself. There's nobody I
Tom
hate in the
Wilson
NHL
plays
worse.
Biff from the Back to the Future. Is my personal hero. He's cool
Not
as
that
hell.
Tom Wilson. I like that guy.
Yeah, that guy's pretty cool.
We
Saw
met.
him in person. He's a
Yeah.
lot bigger than I
Listen,
thought he was
listen
gonna
for
be.
the listeners out there. We were at a convention and Tom Wilson was taking a break from his booth, and the main reason Boog wanted to go to the convention, he's a huge Back to the Future guys, wanted to see the dude that played Biff. And Boog's looking, he's like, oh, I don't see him at his booth. And as he's looking, he pans over to his right and sees it, and he briefly brushes, almost, I don't even know if he touched you, but brushed up against you. And first off, he's pretty tall. He's like your height. I didn't realize he was that
No,
big.
he's about 6'3". I'm 6'5".
Yeah, like I said
Poofy
about your, yeah, and he had like
hair.
his hair was nice. He
It is
briefly,
flow.
and you literally, I thought the Keller left your face. I thought you were just gonna pass out right there in the middle of the convention floor.
I almost. Dude, that's my boy. I
Yeah,
love
not
dude.
that Tom Wilson. I like that one. I'm talking about the NHL piece of shit that
Oh,
takes
that
dirty
Tom
hits on
Wilson.
people. Yeah,
That Tom Wilson. We're just gonna cap his name one of these days.
fuck him. All right, you're next. Next one.
All right. After Insidious, I have Sinister. Super. Just it was like random out of the blue. I watched this movie with my brother.
Well, I don't want to cut you
Yeah,
off, but
two-
as soon as you said that, I thought about that, and you think about things that stick with you and they last with you, and like that's me with The Conjuring 2. That scene meant a lot to me, that creepy scene, because of dreams I used to have when I was a kid, like stuff like, and that's what we always preach, like don't judge, like one movie you might not think's good might be someone else's favorite movie, because certain things um affect people differently. Like they reach them on a different level, and like that's a scene like in Conjuring 2 that reached me. And like as soon as you said Sinister, I remember the story you told about when you and your brother watched that when you were home alone, and that specific scene. So I'll let you tell that, but that's what I can see how this would be one of your favorites on the list.
Yeah, because it was oh boy. So the reason why I love this movie so much, and it is a completely like the story I'm about to say is like that's why I have the feels with it. Every time I watch it, it puts me back in the like where I was. Aaron downloaded it or something. We got a digital copy of it, and it was like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. I want to say like my parents weren't home. This was when I was in high school. He was in college. He came home from break or something. But 2 o'clock in the morning, we're watching this. It's pitch black outside. It's dark. I think there's a thunderstorm or something. Like it was just perfect, like
The
horror
crazy
mood
part too that
setting.
I think about that setting wise is the shape of that house and how it has like the wooded areas and stuff. That house in Sinister looks a lot like your house.
Yes, it does.
Like
I thought about that.
the more I think about that right now, a lot like your house.
So my house is one story. That house is one
And that
story.
scene where like he's looking at the computer screen, then he looks outside, then he looks back, and like the what was the guy's name? Bagol was like in the bushes.
The boogeyman.
Yeah, that would be like looking out the front window of your house and looking
Yeah,
into your bushes.
exactly. Because I have bushes exactly like that.
Yeah. Dude,
Exact
oh, that is
spot.
kind of creepy now that you think about it. Like I never thought
Yes,
about
it
that
is.
till right now. Like your house looks exactly like that house. Ooh, you're gonna get begold. All right, what's your next one?
Yeah, so that's horrible. My second one, and we'll see how the third movie turns out, but the Conjuring franchise.
Yeah, I'd
Just
agree.
because
Solid, very well done, great acting.
Yeah.
From what's her first name? Her sister was in The Nun. I always mix up her sister, but Vera Farmiga, and
Yes,
Patrick
yeah,
Wilson as the
yeah.
Warrens, great. Even in the first one, it's good to see him. He should be in more things. I always liked him from Office Space. Ron Livingston, like he was
Yeah,
great
yeah,
as the dad in that. Like all the acting's good in that.
yeah. It's definitely a weird. It is weird to see him in a movie like that though, because you think of him from like Office Space, and you're like, wow.
It's actually pretty cool. You know that
Like,
one cool song that sounds like a late '60s, early '70s, like jazz rock, like hippie type thing. That music playing when it shows them like moving into the house, like with like
yes.
the electric organ and stuff. It
Yeah.
turns out that's a band. The lead singer of that band's Ryan Gosling.
No
Yeah,
way.
look it up. That song's actually a pretty cool song.
That's going on my my playlist then.
Okay. Yeah, definitely check it out. They have a couple good ones.
Just because of Ryan Gosling.
Boog's also favorite movie is The Notebook.
I've actually never seen it.
Don't
I
lie.
heard it's good. I'm surprised. I like chick flicks too. I
All
like
right,
movies.
what's your next? What's your Is this
All
your
right,
last one?
Last one, the number one movie, in my opinion,
Oh,
for
I
the
know what it
past
is.
decade. It Chapter 1.
Okay.
So it was beautiful.
I don't have an issue with that. I know you really, really liked it. And
Yeah,
I thought there
loved
was some things that could be better, but I also walked out of that movie very satisfied. That's also another movie I saw by myself in Ohio.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it sounds weird, but sometimes go see movies by yourself. It's a very, especially if you go at like a weird time of the day, you can be the only person in the movie theater. You could just sit your popcorn down in one seat, have your drink over. Like, first off, the one theater I used to go into Ohio, shout out the Atlas movie theater. Not the best place to see a movie by yourself with no one in it, because they have these seats that the armrests actually go back up. So if you're in a row by yourself, you can just pop the armrests up and just lay down flat across like all the seats. They were also the first. So the movie theater by us, like back here, they start to do it where you can get probably like 3/4 of the way down reclined on the seats. The ones in Ohio, in the first couple rows, you know how like you're too close to the screen? Well, their solution to that is they took one row out, and you can actually lay the seats straight back. You can go like you're laying straight. Yeah,
go all the way back.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Like they need to find anything they can to keep you in like the Cleveland area, because nobody wants to live in Ohio. But their movie their movie theaters are bomb though. Definitely, I recommend those.
I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely could say I was definitely satisfied walking out of it Chapter 1.
Oh, the only scene, and I've said it before, I'm pretty sure I've said it on our podcast. The only thing that I wish they showed that would have showed more of Henry Bowers, like his gang's effect, like what Pennywise effects on his gang were, was Patrick Hofstetler. I wish they showed or talked about how he murdered his like 6-month-old baby brother because he was getting more attention from his parents.
Yeah, my big thing with the It movies is I wish
it's pretty dark.
So the second one would have made more sense. Like if the key element, like it is outlandish and it might be tough to work in, but in the book the key element is the giant space turtle. Like that's they had to find a way to work that in, and they just decided just to kind of like put that way in the background there. But I don't know. Definitely, I did like It Chapter 1 for sure.
That's why I didn't put the second one on this list, because there's parts of the second one that pissed me off. The first one stayed true to the book. It just left little things here and there out. But the second one really changed the story from the book, and I did not like that.
All right. So on to my favorites here. My number one, I mean, not number, like, they're just my favorites. I only have 2 on the list. Like, there was a lot I liked. I was very happy more often than not leaving the theater or watching like a movie on Netflix or something like that in this decade. So it was a great decade for horror. But the 2 that really stuck out to me that are lasting, that I still watch to this day, and I pretty much always will. You're Next. I just remember seeing like the previews, and the way that it was marketed it was just like a home invasion. These guys got these cool animal masks and they got to survive. So I wasn't expecting the twist that when you went into that movie, that the girlfriend, who you think like in a movie like this, the girlfriend like that comes in with the family, she's one of the first to go. She actually had been raised, and also not getting into the twist and stuff, but the people that set up like to have people killed off for whatever reasons, didn't expect her to have this type of backstory, but she was actually raised by a survivalist family, so she knew how to survive, how to defend herself. So it was a complete subversion of the home invasion genre, while instead of being this like helpless victim, not only was she capable, but she was more capable than the people trying to kill her. So it was just a twist. coupled with the way it was filmed, the acting in it was so good. The characters were so believable. It came from, I forget the people that directed it, but they're real big in this genre about movies where people just like communicate and stuff. Like the characters were so real, the conversations they have were real. It really did it for me. The gore in it was great. And also, there's one song that was played in it, "Looking for the Magic" by the Dwight Tilley Band. I don't know why it works, but that song will get stuck in your head forever. Like, I loved everything about that movie. My second one. You ever seen Your Next Book?
I have not.
And that was one. That was one back in the day. Me, your brother, and Dan went and saw. Shout out Dan. Lives up in Buffalo now. You know he's actually getting married. Yeah.
Yeah.
He always.
Dan,
He always.
if you've ever listened, I'm the little boy that lived kind of across the. I lived across the pond from you. I was really skinny.
Well, he knows who you are.
I got beat a lot. That should narrow it down.
Actually, Dan probably hasn't seen you since you grew like a foot and a half.
Probably. I'm now massive.
Still stupid though.
I'm a big boy with a peanut brain.
But yeah, that. I honestly, within the week, watched that movie.
Okay.
The next one, this movie was another situation going in. You see the marketing, you thought it was just another play on like I mean, it even has the generic name of Cabin in the Woods. You're thinking it's like Evil Dead or something like that. Like people go to the cabin and they get hunted down and stuff like that. Then within the first minute when you're in the theater and it hits you with what the twist is, it is absolutely awesome. It's a movie about the deconstruction of the horror genre itself and why we, the audience, like find like catharsis through horror movies itself. Like it literally, the comedy in it's hilarious, the characters are great, and the overall story and the theme, like it's just like a perfect blend. And like this one, I know actually had a hard time getting released. It kept getting put on the back burner by the studios, and it was written by Drew Goddard, who has done a ton of things. Went to work on a bunch of Marvel movies. Like, I don't know. Tell me you've seen Cabin in the Woods, bud.
Yeah, I've seen Cabin in the Woods because you recommended it to me recently.
I do love that movie. There's so many great scenes in that movie too. I love when they go down in that elevator and it has all the different possible like selections of like horror situations they could have been in. It's almost like that board game that your brother was trying to get us to play. I mean, we did play it with him, but I don't know if you got that because he really didn't explain it fully to you. But each situation you find yourself in was like Cabin in the Woods. It could have been like there was like the people that were like the Cenobites from Hellraiser, or like I think there was like a giant spider. Or the best was the guy who was like, I always wanted to see a merman. And then he gets killed by it at the end.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, but those were my favorites.
You want to know the scariest thing about this year so far?
What?
I just wrote the date down on my piece of paper in front of me, and I put 2020, not 2019.
You did it. It's such a drastic change from 2020 flows a lot better than 2019.
Kinda. I don't know. It felt weird writing it. I think we should just go back.
Back in time.
Oh. Huey Lewis in the News is just gonna start suing us.
Oh, they're bigots. You ever? That's how Ray Parker Jr. lost like all of his rights. He sued them over Ghostbusters. Huey Lewis sued him over the Ghostbusters song. You know the backstory on that?
Yeah. I like Huey Lewis in the News.
I don't mind Huey Lewis in the News. I just think the Ghostbusters theme song's better than anything they ever produced.
I guess so.
But I mean, it was a legit sue though. Like the backstory on that was that they approached Huey Lewis first and was like, "Hey, do you want to write the theme for Ghostbusters?" And he's like, "That's fucking stupid. Fuck you." And so they went to this dude Ray Parker Jr. and they're like, "Do you want to write the theme for Ghostbusters?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm not known for anything. I'll write Ghostbusters." All Ray Parker Jr. did is took a Huey Lewis song and like changed it a little bit and rewrote the words. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you get sued. All right,
It's all
so
right.
let's get into
We're about to be sued because your uh, Ghostbusters thing.
I'm afraid no ghost.
You didn't even like flip the ghost. You just like
But hey, let me deal with the legal problems. You just
you
show
just
up
put
and
a
talk on the
skull.
podcast.
You put a skull in the head of a ghost of the logo from Ghostbusters, and you're like, "Yep, that's different enough."
It is. Don't worry about it.
You can't
That's.
like
I'm still working on releasing our reaction to the trailer. I mean, it's actually done. I just have to release it. So I'll get to that. 2020, we're getting to things. All right, let's keep going because this is by far our longest episode. And I like it where it's going, but people
it's
might
been
be
I think
trailing
about
off.
it's been about 2 hours.
In 20 minutes it will be. All right, so surprises. What was your surprises of this decade, Bug?
Horns. Daniel Radcliffe can act in a horror movie.
Okay. Was that it? That was your only surprise?
Um, and Babadook sucked donkey dick.
that was a
I'll fight anyone
I
who
mean,
says
that could be
otherwise.
like your disappointment. I mean, I
It
know that's
is.
on your list, but that is a surprise because
It's
it
a
was
surprise.
really hyped. That's
I
that's
think on
that's
Rotten
my
Tomato it
biggest
has a
issue.
97.
That's my biggest issue with this decade is the
They're
amount of
sissies.
hype that's out there. Just with it, this decade's more was different than the ones that came before. Like, yeah, in the 2000s you had the internet and social media starting up, but with Twitter and everything that's out there now, you're always fighting the hype machine to temper your expectations. So that was definitely a downside to the decade.
So
Obviously, good things have come out of social media and stuff like that, but also a lot of shitty things. Surprise, people on the internet are shitty.
so because the Babadook has a 98 on Rotten Tomato right now, the audience score gives it a 72, which is still, in my opinion,
That is,
too high.
yeah.
I honest to God thought the movie was trash. The acting was good, but the story was horrible. And after I found out the main characters could not die, I was just like, "Well,
that
this
that's
it's
the
not
one part, and I
scary."
get that was part of the story, but the child actor, and I'm sure he
All
did a
he
good
did
job
was
because that's the way his act. It was
scream.
insufferable. Like you're rooting for it. Like, and I
Can you
know
imagine being
that was the angle of the movie. It's like yeah, you're always supposed to protect your kid, but like if it was this like ridiculous, like would you really want to? But at the same time, it's like I don't want to see this.
dude, I would have killed that kid like instantly.
I've been yelling like, "Bob, dude, come get him."
You know what the Babadook did right?
Wear
They
hats.
didn't kill the dog.
Yeah, that's our big thing. Don't kill the dog.
Don't kill it.
All
Hey,
right. So I'll get
don't kill
into
the
my
dog.
surprises because it seems like you weren't prepared for surprises.
I was yeah,
That's
I was
true.
not
You're not a very
surprised.
surprised person. You're not very. You don't
I
get
don't have a
startled. You don't get
I
startled
don't
very often.
I don't have a lot of emotions in my
Yeah.
day-to-day activities.
So my surprises were The Visit, based upon the recent, like probably past like decade leading up to The Visit's uh, release of M Night Shyamalan's like track record. He'd really fallen off and produced some real stinkers. So it was a pleasant surprise when that movie came out and turned out it was pretty solid.
Didn't
Uh,
he produce Avatar: The Last Airbender?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, the other one, Strangers 2, coming out. It's a sequel. No one like people asked for a sequel when Strangers came out in '08. It was done very well. Um, and I enjoyed it, but it seemed like the time for a sequel had passed. Well, they finally got it released, and from the early trailers and stuff, you're just like, oh, this is not going good. So I went in with real low expectations, and by no means am I saying that was a good movie. There's a lot of like iffy like choices and stuff in that, but like some of the scenes like stick with you. Like there was a scene, they were at this trailer park and there was a pole there, and the music like kicked on and the lights around the pole, and it was playing the song like "Turn Around, Bright Eye." Oh, Total Eclipse of the Heart's the name of the song. But that scene, like turn around as the killer was running behind him, and you think like, because you can see the way the camera's like, oh shit, he doesn't know. But then he turns at that exact moment. He had a golf club, I think it was, or a bat. I think it was a golf club, and just smashes her in the head and kills her. And you're just like, oh shit. and then he has this battle with the other main guy, like the sack face mask guy. I don't know, like a burlap sack and an axe and a battle in the pole. And the way it was filmed is like they're battling and the guy's like pulling him under the pole, so like the music's playing, but when he goes under the water, like you can't obviously hear the same underwater, so it cuts out. And, like the way it was done was like really well. Like there were scenes mostly tied in with the music that they used in the movie that really stuck with you. So I was pleasantly surprised at how well they did with that. And my last surprise was the green room. I didn't expect much from this movie. I did kind of randomly, like I heard some recommendations, but I randomly a couple years back watched it on Netflix, and I was really surprised. It was very well acted, and just the viciousness of the gore and like the realism in the violence in that movie was what made this horror. Like, because honestly, like you'd step back in the situation, there's no monsters. Well, technically, like the Nazis are the monsters, but it doesn't seem like a horror movie till you get into it and the gore, and it's like such a realistic violence that it's like mortifying. So that's another one I'd definitely recommend for you to check out real soon.
Um, I only have a few things. So yeah, the only surprise I really had was horns. The
Well,
Babadook I absolutely hated.
yeah, let's go. Well, let's go into the disappointments here.
The movie Malevolent. I don't know if you've seen that. It came out
Yeah, Angelina
2015.
Jolie.
No, 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 no. It was a there's a what was it? They're like paranormal investigators that scam you into thinking there are ghosts in your house. You pay them a ton of money, they come and they get rid of the ghost. But turns out where this crew goes is like this murderer's house, and they like capture him and like murder her. They try to murder her brother, and like two other people they live with.
That's actually sounds like a pretty cool concept. I did not check that out.
I'd watch it. I was disappointed. I thought the acting was bad. Concept is good,
Yeah,
but
that concept
but
sounds like enough to get me to watch it, but if
but
it's bad acting,
to
I'll take you right out of it.
to me it was very it took me out of it because I could see exactly where this film was going from the get-go. You know, like as soon as like it started to go down, there was no like, ooh, this could happen, or this could happen, or this could happen, or this could happen. You're like, no, this is gonna happen, and it did happen. So it was disappointing for me, you know?
Hmm.
Like there was just nothing to watch after it started going downhill.
What's some more of your disappointments of the decade?
The only other disappointment one that I really had was Sinister 2, just because I love the first Sinister.
Yeah, I would
Sinister
agree.
2 was
That's they should have taken like because Sinister
yeah,
One does have its flaws, but I did enjoy that movie. If they took the core what worked in that and then build upon it, they could have had a strong franchise, produced a very high quality follow up, and even better than the original. But the Sinister Two was such a misstep.
yeah, it was.
It did have a
I would
couple
have
good.
preferred.
It did have a couple good like film reels though. Like that's the
Oh,
strong part of both
absolutely.
of them is those film reels. Like in the first one, especially that one where the guy's mowing the grass. Like, whoa,
Oh, that's
so
the
good,
greatest kill I've ever
so
seen, I
good.
think, in my opinion. But I would rather have them gone back in time rather than to the future, to get more to the like slowly work their way to an origin story, you
Yeah, but you
know?
could have gone to like the present day, like like you can go wherever with that because the curse keeps going on. It didn't end in the first one, but
Yeah, true. I don't know. There's so much. They ruined the franchise.
yeah,
They
that I
had
mean
they
that's why
had so
I don't think
much.
we'll see Sinister Three anytime soon.
No, at least I hope not. I'll Google it to confirm. But
So my disappointments, I talked about It Follows. That was definitely a big one for me because it was hyped, and in the way it was hyped was something I'm always big on. I like in movies when you're in it, they do a good job of putting you in the scene, and then there's stuff like in the background that you're like, oh shit, is that? And it kind of does that in this, but then like the execution's so goofy and there's just a lot going on with it that it was a big letdown for me. That was I think the hype did it a lot for me too. But even like going back and watching it, I mean, it's not a terrible movie. It's just not what I wanted. Um, the other one, It Comes at Night. I did briefly talk about that, but that movie was marketed poorly. There was a couple like scares in it, but for the most part, there's nothing there. And they do this thing that really pissed me off from a filmmaking standpoint is instead of building actual tension, they used very close camera angles to make like artificial attention, and it was edited very very poorly. So that really kind of pissed me off. And then we did talk a little bit earlier, the Wolfman, the CGI, because I'm a big classic Universal, specifically the Wolfman, the original, the way it was set up, and the fact that they had the practical effects and everything, the practical transformation all set up, ready to film, and then just some executive comes in and says, "No, we're using CGI," and it just ruined the film. That's frustrating. And the other one is Nightmare on Elm Street in 2010 when they did the remake. Everything from the story, like now, it's upsetting too because it's always going to be hard to replace Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger, but I think Jackie Earle Haley, who they got to do it, is a great character actor, and he, given the a real chance, he could put in a good job, but with what he had to work with there, it was just so stupid, and there was little things that were like could have been cool, but they didn't explore. Like there was a situation where you're kind of drifting to sleep while you're awake, so he was kind of Freddy could kind of drift in the real world. It was like these micro naps, and that would have been a cool thing to play with, but they blew that. And then for some reason, like 3/4 of the movie, they try to spin it around, and maybe they're like, maybe Freddy was framed and he really wasn't a child killer. It's like, no, like, and then it turns out he wasn't. Like, yeah, we knew that, and it frustrating movie for sure. And then the worst part about that is that essentially killed the franchise, which there's no excuse why they can't be making more Nightmare on Elm Street. So a little frustrating.
Like how Sinister 2 killed that franchise. Because
Yeah.
Sinister 2 was supposed to be the next big horror franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out they were planning on making a Sinister 3 after the first Sinister did so well. But then Sinister 2 came out and they're like, yeah, we're not doing that no more.
Sinister 2 came out and it's like, I'm going to dump a raid on your face. And they're like, well, we don't really like that.
We don't like that, but we're going to have to take it. They took all of it.
All right. Well, yeah, that's the movies for the decade. Before we talk briefly about what we're looking forward to coming up in 2020, any other types of media, like games, books in the decade that you really enjoyed? I wrote down like a few quick ones here that other besides movies that really I really enjoyed over the decade.
I wrote down 2 games that I think is
That really stuck out for you.
yeah. 2 games, they're not remakes. One of them, you know this, I know this. PT the demo, 2014.
I had that on my dude. That's something that will always stick with you. It's a demo, and it's the greatest horror video game ever made. And if you don't feel that way, you either one didn't play it, or two just trying to be contrarian, and I'll fight you.
I'll fight you.
It's literally those are experiences that you'll never forget. That honestly, and I'll say this 100% truthfully, is scarier than any movie experience I've ever experienced. Going through that hyper realistic hallway it's just an experience that you have to do. So if anybody wants to, I still have it saved because they took it off the PlayStation Store, but I still have it saved on my PlayStation. Shoot me an email, come over, I'll let you play it.
I'm pretty sure there's a way you can play it now. I haven't looked into it.
Yeah, your brother actually recently
PS.
sent it to me. Someone was able to upload it onto the computer, and you can download it that way. But hey, if you want to come over, I got it.
Yeah, So,
Yeah, that's a good one.
by far the scariest horror anything you
Hmm.
could. But I just love
Yeah,
how
we
they
can't talk
put
about
you
this
in,
decade without talking about PT.
they put you into the storyline. You're the one that has to like make the storyline flow to function to do
That's
this,
something
do that,
too
and
where
it's
a
like
movie can almost never live up to, because like, yeah, scary things happen in a very good horror film, like makes you feel like you're in that situation. But in a horror video game, you have to
you
react to
are the
what's happening.
story.
Yeah.
Yes. People don't understand, like in movies, you can shut your eyes, you can close your eyes, you can get whatever you need to get over with. If you want to beat this game, you gotta walk past this witch in the hallway that's twitching, that's crying. You gotta walk past the baby that's like, I don't know, still has like 4 chromosomes to its head. Like
I'm not gonna
you
stop you,
have
but
to
that's not how
you have to
chromosomes work.
whatever. You have to suck it up. You have to bite the bullet. You got to push through this while all this stuff's going on. And if you know what you're doing, that game is 30 minutes. If you don't know what you're doing, that game is unbeatable. I beat that game because I Googled it, and even to this day, I don't know if I did it right, but I beat it somehow. It was a 30-minute game at the minute or at the top,
That's
30-minute
actually, I
games,
want to put
and
that
it was
back on my biggest disappointment
great.
of the year list, is the fact that that was just a playable demo, and the
Oh
bullshit
yeah,
that happened
because
between Kojima and
yeah.
Konami, and them just dicking them over, like, and the fact that that game will never come out. Imagine, I don't even know if I'd be able to play all the way through it if that was just a playable
Oh
demo.
no,
Imagine
yeah.
if that was the whole game. Like, holy fuck.
Oh yeah. I wouldn't be able to get through. Can you imagine? We'd make Aaron go through it. I'd make him do
Dude,
that.
your brother can't play scary games. So that leads me to one of the ones that's on my list I put down for games. It is more recent, but the Resident Evil 2 remake is some of the best horror game I've ever played. It's so well done, so well polished. I remember when it came out, your brother was over my apartment, and I let him play it, and he was so scared he had to literally set the controller down. He's like, "I'll watch you play." He's like, "I can't do this." But it's like
Yeah, it
not.
sounds
I
like
mean,
fun.
they're scared. It's well done the way they do with the tension and the way it happens. It's very well done. But I enjoyed the shit out of that game.
The only other one that I'd say, the first Layers of Fear, in my opinion, has one of the greatest like sound effects
Yeah, the
in a horror game.
what's the word for it? Like spatial sound or something
Yeah,
like that, where it's like
I
you
mean,
can hear. Well, the best is your brother had that VR headset, and I played it a little bit in that, and that was made that like amplified it even more because you're looking over
oh
your
yeah,
shoulder, and
yeah. I can only imagine. I didn't play it on. I played it on my. I played it on my PlayStation 4.
yeah, I have it on my PC. Maybe we'll do in 2020 coming up here. We'll do a let's play, and you can see us react to it, see us get
Oh,
scared.
I'm down. I love that game. The only thing I want to say more about that game. Do you remember? Did you play it?
Yeah, I didn't play the second one though.
I didn't play the second one yet. Yet. But do you remember going to the basement
Hmm.
and the piano's playing and all the furniture is perfectly just floating around, and then whenever they mess up
They
pressing the
hit
key
that,
on
yeah, and then boom.
there's a big boom, you hear a scream, some of the furniture falls, but then it just keeps going nice and slow on the piano. It's
That
nice,
that
nice, nice. Boom, real big effect. Like it was, oh,
that ending of that game was a little weird too.
yeah, very weird.
Um,
Once I found out you couldn't die, it kind of ruined it again. That's just
so
how I
so I
am.
had for
But it's
other
still a
media,
great
I had
game.
two, yeah, oh, definitely. I had two other games on my list as well as a book.
Ooh,
Um,
go.
I had the original Dead Space.
Okay.
I liked that experience. It was like basically Resident Evil in space. It was very well done, I thought. With their like dismemberment system and like the different creatures and stuff. I really enjoyed my time with that one. And the other one's not necessarily a good game, but it's fun. It captures the spirit of the movies. we messed with a lot of people online with this one, but the Friday the 13th,
Oh
we put
boy,
some good
I
hours
can't
into
believe
that.
that game. Tell him about the freak out.
Oh God, which one?
The last one. The reason why I'm not playing that game anymore. The reason why the community of 400 people and less will not welcome me to a match anymore. The reason why my name was famous to that to that game.
Yeah, we won't get into that, but that was we had some fun with that one for sure. And then the book was came out a couple years ago. Was this Stephen? Actually, I'm interested to see the TV show. I don't know how well they'll do, but Stephen King's Outsider. I
I heard good things.
I
Didn't
really
read it
enjoyed
yet.
that. It was the first part's like a very well done like murder mystery and like well not like a crime series type thing, and then like the paranormal comes into it and like the creature you find out more about it. It's I really enjoyed that. I thought it was a real like return to form for King. Obviously the ending was left a little bit to be desired, but not
That's
the first
Stephen
time.
King
Yeah,
for
no,
you.
that's
Yeah.
not the first time that happens, but I did enjoy that. All right, so let's start wrapping it up a little bit here. So, what what are you looking forward to in 2020 as far as movies? You got any like you got circled on your list there, Bug? Bug?
Um. Let's see how next Halloween movies are gonna be. That's gonna
Yeah,
be a big.
yeah, that's the first one I had
That's
on
gonna
there.
be a big
Halloween Kills.
teller. That's gonna be a big teller if they're gonna be able to do remakes and if people are gonna be interested in watching remakes.
It's not really remakes, but it's continuations of like a classic franchise. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, this is a very big turning point, especially for that series. But Blumhouse Productions itself. If this movie doesn't do well, it could really change up what they release and what they go after. But I have high hopes. The same group's coming back, so you know the production value is going to be there. I just hope they have a little bit stronger of a story, fine tune it a little bit, because that was my biggest issue with the last one. Was there was some stupid parts like the one of the twists in the last one and some of the choices, but you can't deny the production value, the attention to detail was there, and you could tell that these people really cared about the franchise. Um, so which definitely elevated it from some of the lesser sequels. So I have high hopes for this one if they can execute on this one, and they already have the second one scheduled to come out the following year. This could be huge. So that's definitely the number one on my list I'm looking out for. Um, Other ones I have Antlers, which I don't know if you watched the trailer for that yet, but it's based upon a short story about this boy whose father and younger brother actually have turned into like these monsters. It's if you get a chance to read the short story, it's not called Antlers. I forget what the actual name of it is, but when I had read that short story, it's actually written by the dude that. Do you remember a few years back on Sci-Fi Channel they had like Channel Zero, and it was each season was like a different anthology. Like he was the writer for that. But that short story was really good. So I'm definitely interested to see how that plays out on the big screen there.
Damn, no, I don't remember that.
Yeah, I'll send you the link. Definitely check that out. We'll definitely be reviewing that when it comes out. I'll go see that in theaters. Any other ones you're looking forward to here?
Um,
I know one, and you're just not really thinking about it right now. It's been a long podcast, but I know you're looking forward to Conjuring 3. Actually,
yeah,
I think
well,
you said it
that's
earlier
what
in the podcast.
yeah, well, I did, but that's what I was thinking of.
When
And then
hey,
I was like,
when's that
oh,
little poopy boy come out?
I just saw
September.
it.
September
Yeah,
11th.
September.
9/11. Woo. Never forget.
Oh, really?
Well,
They got,
at least we won't forget when it's coming out.
that's true. We're gonna watch it the 10th then.
Here's one that I'm
We'll see
interested
that
in.
opening night.
Sony's releasing their it's from like the Spider-Man universe, but Morbius in July.
Mm.
I always liked that character when it was in the Spider-Man animated series.
Yeah, he's freaky.
Yeah.
He gets down and dirty. He knows the
June
good
we
spots.
got Jordan Peele produced a reboot to Candyman, which Candyman was more in the 90s, so I don't know how familiar you are with that. Did he tell you about the time that me and your brother met Tony Todd, the guy that played Candyman?
I don't think so. You told me about the guy.
That motherfucker's
you met the
bigger.
guy who
He is
played,
he is bigger than you.
I thought that you were talking about the guy that who played not Michael Myers.
Jason. We met him at that.
Jason.
It was the same horror convention.
Was it?
We got to write that down. That's actually coming up in March. It went away for a year, and they brought, or 2 years, I think, and they brought it back. It was a fun time. They got some cool stuff, and they get some cool guests. So we'll go there.
I got my Warriors hat there.
Oh yeah, you did come to one of them with us.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
It was it's really small compared to the Comic-Con.
Yeah, it is smaller. I think this year they're actually going to increase the size, but I actually had a better time at that than I did the Comic-Con. Because you see different things. You see different things. They have cooler shirts too.
March 6th, I see. 6th to 8th.
Write that down somewhere. Tell your phone.
Hey, phone. Remember that March 6th is something spookies.
Oh, it's going to help us. Yeah, other than that, I mean, it's honestly, it's weird. It's looking a little bit light. And they're still waiting to release. Like, some things we'll see, like The Turning, classic retelling. They got that Finn Wolfhard kid in there, so end of January, check that out. Grudge comes out this week, but it looks bad. Maybe we'll see it, maybe we won't.
We'll see it once you.
I'll tell you what, in March. Yeah, I would never set that up, but I'll get on that.
Give me your money.
But
I'll write it off as a tax return, and I'm watching every movie.
March, we got. This might actually be worth seeing. They're releasing the original King Kong for its like whatever anniversary back in theaters.
What, the 2005
one?
No. The 15 year?
No, the 1930, was that 33 that the original one came out? The black and white one.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, like, what's so special about the 2005 one?
The only one I actually like, but never gets the credit, I like the 1977 one with Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
When he's jumping across the World Trade Center. Rest in peace.
Oh, yeah. R.I.P. EP.
Yeah. We got A Quiet Place too. That trailer just came out today. We'll do it. We could do a trailer reaction on that maybe sometime. We got to work on getting this out. It's easy. Other than that, yeah, another Purge coming out. But hey, that's it. 2020, here we come.
Let's see how it rocks. I don't know. I'm a little skeptical about it.
Yeah, 2020 is looking a little iffy so far, but you always get some surprises, so we'll see. But other than that, that's been the decade. We're looking forward to hopefully next decade. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll edit that out. I'm gonna keep it. Yeah.
Sucks.
No. So next decade, hopefully by that point, by the time it rolls around, we would have been releasing podcasts that whole entire time. And
that's the goal. Even
it'll
if
be a little bit,
a
little bit special. A little bit special, but if not, that's it. All right. So if you want to reach out to us, you can do that. Just email us at huntershorrorvision@gmail.com or shoot us a DM on Twitter, just at HorrorVision. If you're listening to our podcast, like, cool, we appreciate it. If you're not listening to it, you're not going to hear this, so go fuck yourself. But if you want to listen to it on something else other than the platform that you found it on, we're on pretty much everything. Spotify, Apple Podcast, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher. So like us. Hey, go on all of them if you really like us that much. Or if you don't, still go on all of them. Just spite us. Just like us on every. Make us think that we're doing better than we are.
You know what you can do? If you're a motherfucker without fingers or toes, you can also say, "Hey Google, play HorrorVision's podcast."
Oh yeah, I did recently find that out. If you have one of those Google Homes or whatever, just say play latest episode of HorrorVision,
and guess what? We come right up.
you'll hear our stupid fucking voices. So hey,
You can hear my voice on speaker.
oh, also we have a YouTube channel. Search Hunter's HorrorVision. Like and subscribe.
Just a couple video game clips.
Yeah,
and
we're
then,
gonna. That's
a
definitely
podcast, but-
something for 2020 that we're looking to do. We're gonna, actually in short work, probably within a week and a half, we're gonna start consistently uploading more things. We're gonna do some of those video game let's plays of us playing horror games, as well as we got a pretty cool way that we're gonna do it, but we're gonna put up some trailer reactions. So you'll start to be able, if you're liking what we're doing, you'll definitely like what we do over there. So give us a check out there. But other than that, that's your horror vision there, Bug.
That's it, folks. Link, like, love, last. Link.
Hey, hey!
Oh, hey!
Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Good shot. Okay, he's dead. Let's go get him. That's another one for the fire.